Hey, Section 3. I hope everyone's well. Been an interesting 2 weeks. I thought really good 2 weeks. Boy, I really felt that Alpha and Bravo had a really great group of discussions. I thought Charlie and Delta also had some really good discussions. I certainly obviously peeked in on those. I commented a couple of times. I'll tell you, I'm going to be much more apt to comment if you guys get into the discussions early and I can participate in the discussions, especially in the groups that are not mine. I'll do my best to peek in when I can, and if I feel like there's something I can add, I'm going to do that to make sure that things are going well and just to help facilitate conversation. But I really enjoyed getting into some of the really good stuff with my group these last 2 weeks. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it and learned a lot. We're able to take away some things, and not only from the readings, but from the interactions that you got with your other group mates. That was really good for you, because I thought there was a lot of good information out there, and I thought the TAs brought some really good stuff. And not only, and all the extra things that kind of get tacked on, if you will. Turn that brightness up a little bit. Okay, so key points. The McClure-Mishner, numerous causes of shoulder pain. We have lots of things. We have all these special tests. How do we try to look for similarities between them? How do we try to differentiate between what we need, what is important? Their idea that with the STAR program to group and cluster people, hopefully will get people to start to think that that's probably a better way to go. I've always been a proponent to go ahead and to do that kind of thinking. If it seems to be a better way to go. It does challenge it's the challenges of the exam specificity. So, but it's not a perfect system, and there's much work that needs to be done. I'm fully aware of that. Classification to direct treatment based on presentation and irritability, right? We're going to class not necessarily always based on pathoanatomical information. That we are looking at irritability, and even McClure-Mishner agreed that irritability was something that they now needed to dive deeper into to try to figure out, is irritability, if we said just high, medium, and low irritability, does that have what's the reliability of that? What is it that, can we take it into the clinic, use it? Is it a valid measure? And then is it reliable amongst us? Treat impairment's not the diagnosis, right? Because under the impingement category, there's all kinds of different things. So treat the impairment, treat the weakness, treat the hypermobility, treat the neural tension, treat it as it's stated, treat the impairment. Like I said, it's just a start. It still leaves room for areas of decision, room and decision, the matrix to address other aspects of patient presentation. Central sensitization is one of them, the chronic pain aspect, as well as the irritability, like we talked about. Much, much, much more needs to be learned. I work with Paula Ludwig over at the University of Minnesota, and I keep thinking she's going to come up with a categorical system for the shoulder. She's done a lot of work on scapular dyskinesia. I've posted a couple of her articles, and I keep waiting for her to put it all together. But it's probably much easier said than done. But McClure-Mishner, what this does do is it does give a more direct direction for clinical research, right? It starts to pare things down, hone our focus, because we really need to. And we can own this just like we own low back pain. We can do a better job, obviously, than primary care. That just goes without saying. But we can do a better job than even orthopedic surgeons, because all they want to know is if they're a surgical candidate or not. That's all they care about, right? And maybe if they can get an injection to get some money at that visit for a procedure, but they could care less about any other aspect of it. So really what they do from an examination standpoint is completely irrelevant to what we do. And when they say, that they've got spurring, you kind of want to say, I don't care, because it really doesn't matter ultimately whether they have spurring or not. We want to know about their irritability. We want to know about their strength. We want to know about their mobility and those kinds of things. So clinical reasoning pearls. Okay, so I love that Littlewood article. I think that's a new favorite, one of my new favorites. I love the simplicity in exercise of it. It's one exercise. I don't know if you guys listened to the podcast PT Inquest. They did a really nice breakdown on this article. And if you're looking for a good podcast to listen to with J.W. Matheson and Eric Mayer. Mayer, I think is his last name. He's out of Oregon. J.W. Matheson is he's in Minnesota. They do a great job of breaking down literature. They did one on this, and it was really good. And basically, all they did was stand. They gave them a more complicated rotator cuff strengthening exercise program, and then they gave a group that was just one exercise, which was shoulder abduction to 90 degrees with a TheraBand. They basically went as far as they could without pain. They gradually increased that distance as the pain decreased, and they did a certain number of reps every day. And lo and behold, that was as effective. Sometimes we try to make things way more complicated, and in reality, simplicity. Less is more. Simplicity is the better of the two. Maitland, when looking at the SINs, the severity, pain scale, functional impairments, that's what severity is, right? That's how we're looking, and that's important because we need to understand how severe the patient views this. Irritability, how does it respond? Time tested, is it immediate? How long does it last? How quickly does it resolve, right? And I speak to patients all the time about irritability. I'll say, well, if when you stop, it stops, then it's not that irritable. But when you stop and it continues to last longer than 15 to 20 minutes, it's pretty irritable. And we probably don't want to do that, or we need to back it down a little bit. So McClure-Mishner irritability combines those kind of two concepts, but they still need to test if we can all agree on what is irritable and what is not, right? That still needs to be an area of focus. In the meantime, continue to carefully look at operational definitions as you review published literature. Be a critical consumer. Your patients will thank you. Understand what they're talking about in the literature. Read the literature with a critical eye so that you can come away with a really good understanding of literature. That's why some of the podcasts that critique the literature, that's one of the reasons, I like the EIM podcast. I think they're very good clinically. But the PT Inquest, I love that it just breaks down particular articles and really dissects them. And I love that. It helps me. I'm a journal reviewer for JOSPT. It helps me better be a better consumer. It helps me look at things. Do they look at it the same way I do? What are they looking at? What should I be looking at? It's a great thing. Also, like a journal club is another great way to do that, especially if you got somebody who's really good at looking at the science. So next week, we're going to rotate our groups next week, gang. What's going to happen is I'm going to roll over to Delta and Charlie and Delta, and we're going to put Adam with Alpha, and we're going to put Brian with Bravo. I'm going to mix the groups up so that they're going to be different people that I'm working with. There probably will be a little bit of overlap because I'm trying to go with new people so that I can get after some people that I haven't had a lot of contact with, but there is going to be some overlap, and I'll try to peek into Alpha and Bravo as well. But if you want me to peek in, maybe some of you don't, but if you do and you want to engage me in conversation, get others engaged and start a dialogue, and then I for sure will be if you're not part of my group, I will for sure jump in, and if there's something I have value to add, hopefully I don't want to just be taking up space. Objective exam and questions will be sent out. Be prepared. I'll be sending out those objective questions. So if you haven't gotten that information by the end of this week, you contact me. Weekend intensives, plan for postings, integrations of reading. So think about all of the information that we've done so far. Take that to the weekend intensives. Try to integrate it with what you're learning from a manual standpoint. So putting the didactic into the manual. Then there's a place. I don't know if it's block 3. It must be block 3 where you can talk about your weekend intensive experiences. Please post your experiences, good, bad, or indifferent. What you liked, what you didn't like, what was helpful, what wasn't, how we can make it better, how you can become better, what you'd like to see more of. Moodle status. Thank you for weathering the storm. I have never experienced this. I've said this before. Never experienced this before where we've had these 2 extended shutdowns and kind of collapses, if you ask me. I mean, for crying out loud. But it does bring up a point that probably would you be best served in typing this up in some kind of a Word document, word processing document, cutting and pasting it, or copying and pasting it, not cutting, copying and pasting it into Moodle, and then that way you have a saved version of your original post. It's probably the safest thing to do. And I apologize because, like I said, this has never happened before. Please contact me with any questions. I think we're doing great. Oh, we're also going to be getting out midterm grades, hopefully sometime middle of next week by Wednesday. I'll be working on those. Brian will be working on his. Adam will be working on his with comments about how to improve, what you're doing well, what you could work on. If you have any questions about that, obviously follow up with us. But continue to engage. That's how you get stuff from this. Waiting around till Saturday is not beneficial. Now I get it. Sometimes it just that happens. But man, get in there early. You post on Sunday. Try to get in on Monday or Tuesday. Try so that you can start that dialogue Wednesday, Thursday, checking, 10, 20 minutes a night. That's all you really got to do. But that'll be in not next week, but the week after. This week, you're going to dig down and get into the information. Again, hope you all are well and learning a bunch. I'm enjoying having you all in class and look forward to reading your stuff next week or a week from this next week. Take good care to all, and we'll see you online.